gonna be. No matter what comes our way, we'll be together, together.
Welcome to Homeschooling Down South. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Kat. We're two Southern homeschooling mamas sharing real talk, resources, and inspiration for life and learning in the Southeast.
Each week, we'll chat with inspiring voices in the homeschool community, highlight must-see nature spots and field trip gems, and share resources from across the region.
Whether you're new to homeschooling or a seasoned pro, pull up a chair and join us as we celebrate the joy, freedom, and community of homeschooling down south.
We'll laugh together, we'll learn together, find the joys in life together, give each other grace and space to be.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back. Today, we are talking about the Tennessee Aquarium, and we have some interesting things to share with you guys about what we found out about their educational programming. They used to offer homeschool days, right? It was a day.
I don't know. I've never
Yeah.
been able to find anything about that, but you said to me that
Yeah.
you found like somewhere archived on the internet, the way the internet
Yes.
does, like homeschool day itinerary.
Yeah.
Is that what you had found?
It was an article just about their homeschool days, but
Oh.
they don't do that anymore. And so we went browsing around on their website because we love the Tennessee Aquarium.
Yes.
And we found out that they offer a lesson plan, curriculum, I don't know what you want to call it. It's by grade. They have it separated. I think it's like K1 or K2, 3, 5, 3rd through 5th,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. They have curriculum that you can download and then use to make your visit
Educational.
educational. Yes, to just add a little bit extra to your visit. So we just decided, okay, well, we wanted to talk about this on the show. We can't talk about a homeschool day because they don't have it.
Yeah.
So we're going to print this stuff out and we're going to take our kids and we're going to see if it's worthwhile. And we do have things to report back.
Yeah. So if you're interested in checking out the resources for yourself, they're on their education page under resources, and you can download. And it seems like for each grade level, there's a PowerPoint and then a lesson plan. But I will say, as I was working through the lesson plan before sitting down with my son to do it, it was clearly written for a classroom. It was
Yeah.
like in your classroom beforehand. So it wasn't necessarily like intentionally designed homeschool materials. I don't think it was created by the Tennessee Aquarium. I think it was borrowed from another scientific institute for learning and maybe modified a little bit by the Tennessee Aquarium to be
Yeah.
able to use it specifically in their space. But it was definitely written for a classroom. And, we can adapt classroom things for our
Of
homeschool.
course.
That's fine. And so basically it wanted you to talk about some things at home, look at the PowerPoint at home, and then once you were in the aquarium, have the kids be able to demonstrate their knowledge essentially of what you had talked about in the lesson and the PowerPoint before coming to the aquarium. And also, for anyone who's never been, the Tennessee Aquarium is in Chattanooga. It's a lovely facility
Yeah.
right on the river waterfront, right in downtown. And for anyone who hasn't been there before, it has two separate buildings. One of them is all about rivers, and one of them is all about oceans. It's really cool. And we're going to
Yeah.
talk about going through all of them. The curriculum that you're able to download beforehand was specifically about the river exhibits and building. So
Yeah.
that's what we did. What was it like for y'all? How much looking ahead did you do with your kids or just by yourself?
I actually printed out the materials and then promptly left them on my printer. But I looked at them online and I looked at the PowerPoint and if I'm just being honest, because we want to be real with you guys, I did not find the PowerPoint particularly engaging. And I knew that my kids would not be into it. And so my thought was, we'll just do the activities and stuff at the aquarium.
Yeah.
And thankfully, you had printed out and brought with you the little activity that it had to do. And I don't know, it took you maybe 3 minutes, maybe,
Yeah.
to walk through, maybe a little bit more because you had that little diagram, but to walk through what the whole premise of the curriculum is: how to tell what things are alive and what things are not alive. And so, how do we tell that things are alive? Well, they breathe, they take in oxygen, they reproduce, they
They eat.
they eat, they collect nourishment, however,
Yeah. They
and then
move and they
yes,
grow. I think it was
yes.
those 5 things.
And then you had a little piece of paper and the kids could like see those different stages. And the goal was to walk through the exhibit and identify what is alive and what is not alive there. And here's the thing, I did not find this curriculum particularly helpful. I know we talked about it. It just wasn't worth much. I would not recommend it to people. However, we also went to the Georgia Aquarium. My family did this week because we wanted to experience Tuesdays in the Field, and which you guys
Up
will hear about
upcoming episodes, stay tuned.
upcoming episode. Yeah, we went to Tuesdays in the Field. And I tell you what, my girl child walked through the sea anemone exhibit area, and she asked, like, "What are these?" And so we read about them, and she goes, "Well, those are alive then." So
Hey!
it stuck, which just I was like, "Okay, I guess something like about it." But she with several exhibits in there, she identified, "Oh, that's living, that's not." So, for what it's worth, I mean, it was free to
Yeah,
print out. It didn't
it's free.
cost us anything, and she really absorbed it. Oh,
And so what's interesting is, so I did a little bit of the PowerPoint at home with my son, not as a PowerPoint. We're like, we don't do a lot of screens in our learning. Like, I'm not against that. It's just not the right fit for my son. And so I printed out the PowerPoint and we like flipped through it together over breakfast on the morning that we went. And he was not disengaged with it.
yeah.
And, he did say like he didn't know some of the things that he found out. So it didn't feel like bad to be doing or wrong. It just wasn't the most rich learning about animals that we
Yeah.
have done or will continue to do. But it was fine. Like there was nothing wrong with it. So then you called me on the way because we drove separately, and you called me on the way and you said I didn't print it, and I said it's okay. I have the case second one for our boys, but I didn't print off the one for 3rd and up. So was the one for 3rd through 5th, was that one also about things that are living and not living? Okay,
Yes, and it's not 3rd through 5th, so it is I was mistaken.
okay,
It is K1 and then 2nd and 3rd,
okay.
and it was the same for one, it was the same exhibit. The exhibit's called Ridges to Rivers
Yes.
Gallery. It's on the 3rd floor, and in the background information, it just went a little bit more in depth than the K1, and you do a little bit more, like, in addition to identifying alive and not alive, they also wanted you to create, like, a Venn diagram for river and stream
Yeah,
and see, like, the differences and then, like, what they both have.
okay,
Um, and the activity they wanted you to compare and contrast the pop-up exhibit versus the main Ridges to Rivers exhibit and emphasize water depth, water flow, fish behavior, that kinda stuff. So, just a
sure.
little more in depth.
So that's, I think, is a good thing for listeners to know is if you go use this curriculum, whether if you're using it with like a large number of ages in your family or like your group that you're going with,
Mhm,
it's the same topic, it's just the depth of that topic that
mhm.
you might go in for the different ages. So that's good to know because when you're like, "She took stuff away," I was like, "Oh, but, like, did she take stuff away only from the K-1 lesson?" But, like, no, it was the same topic, so
Yeah,
that's good to
roughly
know.
the same topic, and it's the biggest thing is it's the same exhibit, so you don't, like,
Yeah,
have one kid that you're working with in this exhibit and the other kid doesn't, you know, get
cool.
anything, and then you go on to the next one, so
Well,
it's all in
that
that
was
one
super
little
helpful. I
place. Yeah,
appreciate that, like, when they're thinking about homeschoolers, they're doing it in a way that allows you to work with multiple ages because so
yeah,
often whether you are a family that has lots of ages of kids or whether you tend to go to something like this in groups and you're trying to facilitate this, like maybe you're thinking about taking your co-op there and how would you
yeah.
facilitate this, that at least this curriculum that's provided for free again, which is great, is you could work with it with all ages. That is good to know.
Yeah, and, the beautiful thing about homeschooling is we choose what we wanna do when, and so I understand why they did what they did as far as splitting it up with the age ranges, but, like,
Yeah.
I still think the focus of the K-1 was interesting to my child,
Yeah.
my 3rd grader.
Well, and
Um,
she had some
yeah,
things that she took away from it. That's great.
yeah.
That makes
So
me excited.
I think while it was very obvious this was not created for homeschoolers, I think it's a good tool in your tool belt to use. Who knows? There may be some more tools that we are crafting that you can use in your tool belt to help enhance your experience. I was looking for that word for so long earlier. The word that I want to use is enhance. Enhance
Enhance.
your experience.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing
Yeah.
bad about it. I will say though, it's sort of a one and done. Like I don't feel like
Yes.
next time we go back, I'm not pulling that back out again.
Right.
It didn't have enough depth to it, at
Yeah. It didn't
least
have enough
for the,
meat.
yeah, to pull out again. So, should we just start like walking through our experience and we can like pop in where I did a little lesson with the kids when we get to
Yeah.
that part and we'll just take y'all through our day and through
Yeah.
all of it, not just that lesson, but like our whole day at the aquarium.
Yeah. Yeah, because like Kat said, it's 2 buildings, and so we opted to start in the river building this time because we knew that's where the educational stuff was gonna be. The way that the river journey is laid out, it's not like the Georgia Aquarium where it's just kind of a free for all, you can go visit whatever exhibit. There is a very clear pathway that you take, and, there's one entrance and one exit pretty much,
Yeah.
and there's a very clear pathway.
They start you go up to the top of the building,
Yep.
and then you basically wind your way
Yep.
down, and there's a ramp that's guiding you down the different levels the whole time. There's a flow for that,
Yeah.
and the Oceans building is the same. When you go in, you
Yeah.
go all the way up to the top, and then you wind your way down. I appreciate the flow. It feels very structured and directed.
Yeah.
I know where I'm supposed to be,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
helps me direct my child. Like, we are going forward only.
Only. But there is no time limit on how long you can stay in exhibits. And like, for instance, when we got there, there was a large group behind us. And so we just kind of hung out and there's this touch pool area where you can touch sturgeon, lake sturgeon. And so we just kind of hung out there and let them go ahead and go on ahead of us.
Yeah.
So while there is a path, you don't feel rushed to get through
No.
each exhibit.
No, you just feel very clear on what's
Yes.
next.
Yes.
So when you go into rivers, they start out, they hit you with the best. They have the otters is the first
So
thing.
cute.
The river otters. Unfortunately, on this particular day, they were not out yet. I don't know if we were
I
too
know.
early. I don't know, but we didn't get to see them. But we've seen them every other time we've gone. So you
Yeah.
start with the otters and then you go into that
River.
Rivers to Ridges exhibit. And so we took a beat and sat down, and that's where we walked through with the kids. These are the things we're looking for. And we very briefly got them to focus on that because there's a lot of cool things to do in there. There's
Yeah.
one of the things they have, and this is not the only place in this aquarium that they have this kind of thing, but it's like the kids can go underneath the edge of the tank and then stand up, and it's like the tank is 360 degrees around them, and it's big enough that a couple kids can be in there at once. And then there's the sturgeons to touch. And so it's
Yeah.
hard to keep them from just like going to do those things, and it feels fun. And I think for my son at least, we've never tried to do like a structured lesson inside of the
Yeah.
aquarium. And so it felt, I think, like, and we've been a couple times recently, so I think he felt very comfortable. And so he was sort of like, I want to show my friends this cool thing where you can like stand up and there's a tank all around you, or I want to go
Yeah.
touch the sturgeon. I don't want to tell you what's alive and what's not alive. That we can do that later, mommy. Was sort of my son's vibe. Your kids were a little bit more. I don't know if it was because I presented the information, and so they
Oh,
felt
I'm sure it was.
a little bit like Miss Cat has asked us to
Mhm.
identify things that are living and not living. And so,
Mhm.
if you
Yeah.
had been the one to present it, I wonder if my son would have been like, Miss Kayla, look, this is alive. And your kids would have been like, it's a sturgeon.
Pro tip, if you are homeschooling, find someone else to get your kids to do the things you want them to do.
At least that when we're out in public, that seems to
Yeah.
be, the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But that room has a lot of cool stuff in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say that they do really well at that aquarium having a lot of education about conservation of the rivers, how to keep the
Yes.
rivers clean, and not just don't throw trash in the river, but here is what happens when you throw trash in the river. And there was one whole wall of touchscreen animation, and you had to clean up the environment to clean the water. And it wasn't just don't throw your Chick-fil-A bag in the river. It was also you had to stop the farmer from spraying his crops. You had to clean up, animal feces that was on the bank of the river. You had to do all of this stuff, and then every time you would click whatever the problem was, the river would get progressively cleaner. So that was really neat, and the kids got to see, and I will say, for me also, I had never thought that far into it about all these other pollutants that could cause the river to get dirty, and so it was it was cool for our kids to learn, and they had a lot of little things like that
Yeah.
throughout the whole building. You could also there was an area where you could touch this button, and then a video would come up, and it would tell you information about this specific thing. So they do a good job of that.
Yeah, and I think that there's more of that treating our environment well, conservation stuff on that river side of the building because I think
Yeah.
they're so involved locally. I mean,
Yes.
they like I said, they're right there on the
On
river.
the river.
And they have people who work at the Tennessee Aquarium who are heavily involved in these efforts. And so the videos have staff members from the Tennessee Aquarium talking about their efforts. And like, there's also videos about like how to become a river biologist or a fish biologist. There's just a lot of cool interactive. It feels very local of this place. And you have a role here in your own environment,
Right. And
which is
and
great.
a lot of the educational stuff is specifically about it's not just rivers in general, it's about Tennessee's rivers
Yeah.
and what's going on in Tennessee, which is
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah. And the whole environment, like you mentioned, the streams, the watersheds. It's not just the river, but it's helping kids understand that this whole environment is all connected. It's an ecosystem. What happens in one place affects what happens in another. And they do a great
Right.
job of teaching that. They do have exhibits from rivers around the world. And so they've got water creatures, fish and stuff that are not in Tennessee rivers. They have a whole exhibit that's just Tennessee rivers, and then they have other rivers of the world, and the kids can learn about those as well. So it's not like it's exclusively Tennessee. It's just that there's definitely a focus there
Yeah.
and a real encouragement for kids to see themselves as a part of that bigger picture.
And, we talked about you're winding your way down, and the cool thing is you wind through the walkway, then you'll end up in an exhibit, then you'll leave and get back on that walkway, but when you're on the walkway, on either side of you are 2 floor-to-ceiling tanks. So you're still getting to see the fish and all that good stuff. You're seeing them at different levels because the further down you go, you see more fish. And what was really lovely, the staff there really took time with
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
to educate us, and in fact, one of the encounters that I remember the most was we were standing by the tank that had, like, the largest river fish ever, and it starts with an A, and I said it 3 times so that I wouldn't forget it, and I said to you, "Help me remember the name of this fish," because I knew it would go out of my head.
I have it written down.
Yay!
Arapaima.
An arapaima, yes. So he was telling us all about them and getting the kids engaged, asking them questions and prompting them to, have dialogue with him. And it was very educational for me. I enjoyed hearing him talk, and I think the kids did too. And that happened multiple times with different
Yeah.
people during our time there. And I just thought that was really nice because they're just kind of like hanging out
Yeah.
along the path. And when they notice you taking interest in something, they just kind of like pipe up, like, oh, hey, by the way, did you know?
Yeah, they make themselves available. They make it
Yeah.
very easy to ask questions, but it didn't feel like, "Whoa, you just, like, came up and intruded in any way." Like, they were just very good at being like, "Here I am. I'm a resource, and I'm
Yeah.
right here when you need me." And then, like, they were also very good at recognizing when it was time to either let us have our space again or, like, "Oh, there's a new group that has come up,
Yeah.
and it's time to engage with them." Yeah, they were very skilled at that. I was really, really impressed by their ability to help us just learn a little
Yeah.
bit more
Yeah.
and answer questions.
Yeah, and so the buildings are not connected. You do have to walk outside to get to the second building. And so We did the river thing, we walked through all the exhibits, and then we bebopped on over to the ocean building. And our favorite thing in the ocean building doesn't feel like it belongs in an ocean building,
No, but it's
but
lovely.
but it is. It's lovely, and truly, I have thought about getting a membership there just so we can go and sit in this exhibit for as long as we want, whenever we want.
Yeah.
But when you go to the very top of the ocean exhibit, you are escorted into this room, and it is the butterfly room, and it is very warm in the room
Yes.
because they want to keep the environment right for the butterflies.
And if you go on a
But
Saturday, it's very crowded in the room.
yes, but they're very particular about letting people in because there's an attendant at one set of doors, and you walk up, and she opens the doors, and you walk through, and you have to wait until that set of double doors shuts behind you, and then you can open the second set of double doors and go into this room, and so many
Full.
butterflies. It is full. They are not afraid of you, and my daughter just lives her very best life. She'll just stand there with her arm out and, pray that one will land on her.
Your son was cracking me up because there are so many butterflies that I think he felt like they were, like, dive
Dive
bombing him.
bomb.
We're like, "They can't hurt you. It's okay." But you know what? I don't know if it's always there, and I've just missed it every time I've been there before, but on one wall, they have a window into a space where you can see the different phases of the cocoons. And I think they were actual cocoons that butterflies were coming out of. Like your son and I sat and watched a butterfly
Ye
coming out
Yeah.
of a cocoon.
So they always have that.
Okay.
But it is not always as active as it was when we
Mm,
saw it when we went, and I
it's
don't know if it's just
amazing.
a seasonal thing,
Yeah.
but we've never seen it that full before. We've never seen it that active,
Yeah.
and it did they have in there was a touch pool in there, wasn't there? Because we had to wash hands.
Yeah. So the other thing that's on the top floor of the Oceans building is the stingray touch pool. So in
Yes.
the
Oh,
rivers, the touch pool is the sturgeons, and in the oceans, the touch pool is stingray, or it's a bunch of different kinds of rays.
yeah. Yeah.
And then there's also horseshoe crabs in there.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So we did that. We touched my son. I looked at Kayla and I said, I think that every time we come to Chattanooga together, my son is just going to be soaking wet because
Yeah.
we went to Creative Discovery Museum. He got soaking wet and he was fine at the sturgeons, but man, he
Not at
just
the
got
stingrays. He
soaked.
did.
His whole shirt was wet.
He did, but
Yeah.
It was this was another instance where the staff was really, really helpful because
Yes.
my oldest is our very cautious child. It's fascinating, actually. She's our very cautious child, but she's a thrill seeker. She will ride every roller coaster and including ones I don't want her to ride. My son is getting hurt all the time because he has no sense of self-preservation, but he will not step foot on the little caterpillar roller coaster at the fair. So, I have these very, very opposite children, but I could see the panic in her eyes, and I wanted to touch a stingray because that's super fun, and she did not want me to do it. She did not want herself to do it. She was terrified that they were going to sting, and
Mhm.
you very wisely asked the staff member, "Hey, can these guys sting us?" Which led to a beautiful educational moment, and you got my daughter's attention, and he said, "No, they can't," and he explained that the barbs on their tail that would sting you are like our fingernails, and so they just file them down so that they can't harm people, and I have it on video, and I will treasure this video for the rest of my life. She was brave, and she stuck her hand in there, and she touched that stingray, and the look on her face of just sublime joy when she did that, and it empowered her so much when we went to the Georgia Aquarium, she was like, "I'm touching a stingray today."
Yes. I love
But
it.
then we were able to talk about their skin and why it is the way it is and how that's very similar. She loves beluga whales. Well, that's very similar to what a beluga whale would feel like.
Yeah.
And I think it gave her so much confidence, and she really retained what that guy said and even went so far as to tell my husband and my parents after the
Oh,
fact.
I
And she was
love
so proud of
it.
herself on the way home. She was like, Nobody tell dad that I touched a stingray. I wanna tell him.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that story so much. And one of the things that I was really impressed with that I think is a great takeaway for everybody, like no matter what age you are, is she was scared of this thing. We got more information. A lot of times it's having more information is what helps us not feel so scared. But she also baby stepped. She didn't go straight for the stingray. She went for the horseshoe crab
Yep,
first.
yep.
So she did a little test, not to be tongue in cheek here, but she tested the waters.
Yeah, yeah.
But I feel like that's what so many of us need when we're scared. I need some more information and from someone, a trustworthy authority, and then I need to baby step
Yep.
until I feel comfortable. And here's how I knew to ask. We went to this same aquarium 2 months ago, just me and my son, because we had been at home a lot. It had been cold and, we'd been like Christmas schooling or cozy schooling. Stay tuned. You'll get to hear about cozy schooling from one of our future guests. But we had been doing a lot of that. We just like needed to get out and we have a membership. And so we just went. And we were basically the only people in the aquarium, it felt like that day. And when we were at the stingrays, we were the only people there. And this just goes to show like how great their staff is because it was a different educator there that day. But my son, he wasn't scared, but he was curious. He was like, "Can they sting me?" I mean, I think that if the answer had been yes, he still would have touched them. He just wanted to know ahead of time what he was getting himself into. But so he had asked that question and we had gotten a whole conversation and she asked, "What do you think they're made of?" And he very much knows what animals have keratin parts of their bodies. He's always ready with the keratin answer. And so he knew that. And then she had taught us about the filing. And so because I'd had that experience as I was watching your daughter be scared, I was like, "Okay," I knew they could give an answer
Yeah,
that would help her because I already knew the answer. But I was like, how much more will it matter? Because I could have just told her. I already
right.
knew it. They file them down. I could be like, "Hey girl, they file them down. It's cool." But I knew how much more rich it would be coming from the person standing there and that would be a more memorable experience. And so I was really excited that we had had that pre-experience that we could then hand down. It was
Yeah.
cool. It was all good stuff to be a part of.
Well, and she learned something too, and it would have been so easy as a parent to just be like, "It's fine. Stop
Just
freaking
do
out.
it.
They're not gonna hurt you. Just touch it or don't, whatever. That's your choice if you don't wanna touch it." But no, we acknowledged, "Sure, this will scare you. You don't know if this animal can hurt you or not." But now, because we got curious, instead of just shutting her down, now
Mhm.
she learned something about stingrays that she didn't know before, so much so that now I am building a unit study on stingrays
You're
with
welcome.
stuff from Teachers Pay Teachers because I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel, so that she can learn. Because we learned that day also there are so many different kinds of rays,
Yeah.
and so we're gonna learn all about that.
And hopefully all our kids, because all our kids witnessed all of this, right?
Yeah,
Hopefully they all learned if I'm scared in a situation, I can get curious. I can ask. I can say, "I'm scared of this. Hey, can this actually
yeah,
happen?"
yeah,
And, explore. So that was like a fun highlight of the day. The oceans winds down as well
yeah.
throughout the building. They were redoing, they're renovating for the last several months a big part where like the jellyfish, the octopus, a lot of the really cool animals, and they were reopening finally after being closed for months the next day.
The
So
very next day.
we're gonna go back soon. Our
Yep.
family is to go see that exhibit, even if like we just only go to the ocean building. But we got to still see some really cool stuff. They also in this side of the or in this building of the aquarium have the from the top floor to the bottom floor on either side as you're
Mhm.
winding down the ramps, the same tank so that you're seeing it from the highest point and down to the lowest. And one of the cool things we got to see, like just continuing the rays and how cool the rays were to us that day, was one of the rays was in there and had the fish swimming underneath it and like on top of it the same way as in Finding Nemo.
Yep. Yep.
It was so cool. And there was an educator there at that large tank who my son and your daughter both like peppered her with questions for a little while and she was really great and answered all their questions and it just was they're just really good at that. They're just lovely. They have They have some interactive exhibits besides the touch tank. They have like one where like the kids put their hands in. I've never participated because I don't put my hand into a place that I can't see. And there's no one there to ask about it. So, but the kids can put their hands in. There's a cool Pacific Ocean exhibit that I love because I'm like, when I walk in that room, I'm like, it smells like home. It's like the smell of my childhood. But there's like starfish and anemones, and there's another one of those tanks where the kids can go like underneath and stand up and have the tank around them. There's penguins on this side of the aquarium, and it's all a really lovely experience. So it's a great aquarium.
It is, and I will say, it was very interesting for us to have the Tennessee Aquarium and the Georgia Aquarium back to back. Like, we went to
Yeah.
Tennessee Aquarium on a Friday, Georgia Aquarium on a Tuesday.
Yeah. And we went within the same like 3-week period, but not that close together.
Yeah. And so, while there are things at the Georgia Aquarium that I just love so much that the Tennessee Aquarium doesn't have, the Tennessee Aquarium is so much more chill.
Oh,
And we went on a
yeah.
Friday. So, in theory, you're looking at field trips, you're looking at, you know, that
People
being
who
a
are out of
busier
town for the
day.
weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's still there were moments where we were in exhibits just us, and
Yeah.
you're never I mean, compared to Georgia Aquarium where I felt like I needed to, like, attach my kids to me somehow because there were
Mhm.
so many people.
Yes.
So, I think that if you're wanting something that doesn't feel so overwhelming, I mean, I definitely think you need to go to both, but I think the Tennessee Aquarium is a lot less overwhelming.
And it's kinda nice because you could take a break in the middle. You can do one
Yeah,
building, and you could have lunch. You could
yeah,
bring a lunch and sit outside on a nice day. There's lots of beautiful views of the river and have lunch. There's when it's hot, they have water features outside
mhm,
that kids can splash and play in that are super cool. It's a great aquarium. And I think that what we want you to hear is that there is an aquarium that offers a homeschool program. You're going to hear about that with our Georgia Aquarium episode. And there's an aquarium where you're creating the experience,
yeah.
or maybe you're getting the experience from trusted podcasters. Stay tuned. We have some things in the works up our sleeves. But either way, there's value to your homeschool in
Yeah,
both things, right?
yeah,
And this one is much more if your vibe is you wanna guide it, you want it to be self-led, or you're very like, "I'm gonna just take them to the place and let them get whatever they want out of it," like more of an
yeah,
unschooling sort of vibe to your day, then the Tennessee Aquarium is a great fit for that, so we're
yeah.
totally recommending it. It's what you make of it, I think is our
Yes,
point there. Yeah.
and I'm not
Yeah.
giving
So,
up
Kate.
hope that one day they won't have homeschool days again. I'm not giving up hope.
Yeah. Oh, I have hope too. I always have hope. I'm gonna celebrate what's there now and always be hopeful that there could
Yeah,
be something else in the future. So,
yeah,
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 it's a great place, to take your kids, especially during the week when the crowds are low. It's gonna
yeah.
be a really chill experience. So, Kayla, what is your win from our day together at the Tennessee Aquarium?
Girl, you know it's that experience at the stingray table. You know that's what it is. Just seeing her my oldest is more anxious, she's a lot like me. She's more anxious, she's more cautious, and she struggles sometimes to overcome that, and witnessing her overcome it and just I the look on her face when she touched that stingray was just life-giving. I mean, it was so priceless, and
Yeah.
so, I mean, leaps and bounds, that was my win, was having that experience with that staff member and then her having the courage to do this thing that kinda freaked her out a little bit.
And we've
So,
talked about this before, like, when we go somewhere in our homeschools and then it comes home with us, I love that it came home
yeah. Oh,
with
yeah.
her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that has been
And
very
you by
sticky.
default.
Yes, yes, yeah. No, that has been very sticky for sure, and I think
Good.
that will carry on with her for a long time.
That's awesome. So,
So,
Kayla, when you're not touching stingrays, where can the people find you?
you can find me at scratchmadesimple _ on Instagram and at scratchmadesimple on TikTok, and where can they find you?
I'm at Recreating Camp on both Instagram and Facebook. And of course, you can find us on all the platforms at Homeschooling Down South. And if you have a cool experience where kids can put their hands in a touch tank and learn to overcome their fears, please email us at hello@homeschoolingdownsouth.com to tell us all about it. And if you liked this episode, please give us a 5-star rating and review wherever you're listening. Send it to a friend who's going to Chattanooga sometime soon, and leave us a comment about your favorite aquarium in the Southeast. And we'll see you all next week.
Bye, y'all.
And we'll love together, we'll learn together, explore this whole wide world together. No matter where we are.